Hey guys, Travis here. Today I want to talk about kindness, forgiveness, and grace. So there have been a few stories in the news lately that have both encouraged and discouraged me. And I want to share just a couple of those with you. I'll start with one that discouraged me, that kind of made me sad in regards to forgiveness, kindness, and grace. So it's still in the news, this discussion of the shooting that happened in Florida. And I try to stay, I don't really watch politics anymore, but I stay a little bit abreast of what's going on in the news. And so I saw that there was this town hall hosted by CNN shortly after the shooting in Florida. And what I found interesting about it was that they had people of sort of both sides. You had Republicans and Democrats, you had people from the NRA there. And so my hope was that maybe there'd be some actual discussion between people who disagree on the subject. And there was, but it was more of an attack session on the people who are pro-gun, which I just don't think is helpful. Even if you think that gun control is the way to solve this problem, what I don't think is the way to solve the problem is when you get somebody, for example, like Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, who's a Republican, who comes to this event and listens to everybody there, to the constituents, to the family members of the children who died. And I'll start by saying that I completely understand and have nothing but sympathy for the people who lost loved ones in the shooting. And some of those people were on the stage and they're very angry with Marco Rubio and angry with the NRA and with Republicans generally because, as they see it, they're standing in the way of gun control that they think could have saved the lives of their loved ones. So I understand why they're upset. I think that the environment that this was conducted in was poor. I think that was a very poor decision by CNN. It was sort of a amphitheater or like where you'd have a concert. And it was packed full of people who were all in favor of gun control. And so people in the crowds were chanting murderer and child killer and some really kind of mean stuff at the Republicans. Marco Rubio, Dana Lash, who's an NRA spokesperson, was also there. So again, I get it. I get it from the family members. I understand why they're upset. And I don't think you can really criticize anybody for voicing that opinion and that emotion when they're directly victims of it. But what I saw in that town hall, I've seen all across social media, all across public debate everywhere. Most of us didn't have family members or friends who were killed in that shooting. Doesn't mean that we don't have sympathy for, that it's not very heartbreaking to hear about, but we're not directly affected by it. I don't think that the rest of us have the same excuse in terms of civility. You can advocate for whatever policy you think is going to help solve the problem, and I did, if you've seen one of my previous videos about it, and I think those are pretty good ideas personally. But regardless of what policy you want to see happen, you're not going to get there by insulting and berating the people that you need to persuade. And that was always kind of the way that I like to conduct my radio program. Certainly at that point in time, I was on one side. I don't consider myself on anybody's side. I'm on my side at this point. And if I make sense and you find yourself on this side with me, great. But I'm not taking sides, which is part of why I got out of radio. That's a subject for another day. But certainly I was on one side of the debate back then. But I always tried to frame my arguments in terms of appealing to people who didn't already agree with me. I don't see any point unless you only care about ratings, and there's a lot of people in radio and TV who only care about ratings. That mattered, but really the biggest driver for me was persuading people and changing opinion. And I didn't need to change the opinion of people who already agreed with me. So if you want to get people like, for example, a Republican senator like Marco Rubio to move his position on gun control, and at the end of the day, that's what you need, is if that's the policy that you want, you've got to get people who don't agree with you to change their mind. And we're in a place in this country where a subject like gun control is one of those that is really a hot topic and really divided. But neither side has enough people on their side to really advance policy. So if you want to change policy, you're going to have to get somebody from the other side. And you don't do that by screaming at them that they're murderers or that they're child killers. And really, that's absurd. Again, I'll cut some slack to the family members who lost people. That's just, I can't put myself in their shoes. I haven't been through that. So I get that they're upset. But the whole town hall, again, was just a bad idea by CNN to pack a place full of people who are pro-gun control and then throw up some Republicans like lambs to the slaughter. It's just a bad environment to even conduct something like that in. But that whole thing made me sad to see people like Marco Rubio there who really seemed to be sincere and genuine and trying to listen and find answers and take all the criticism that was thrown at him by the people on the stage, by the people in the crowd, and take it with grace. And he's just been hammered ever since and continues to this day. And again, some of that is just politics. Democrats want to beat him in an election. They want a Democrat in there instead of him, and they think this is a good opportunity to just demonize the hell out of him and to beat him. And, you can play that game, but that game has brought us to where we're at. It's the reason we have Donald Trump for president. Republicans were sick of that game, and so they just decided to start playing it back. And so if you think Donald Trump's the worst thing since from whenever, then understand that you got him because that's the way you're acting. I don't know how else to say it. What I am saying is that I don't think that that's the way to do it from either side. I don't think that being rude and malicious and disrespectful is good for anybody. So that town hall was really kind of a sad thing for me to see. I'll tell you something else that was in the news that made me feel a little bit better. So The View is a show on, I think it's ABC if you're not familiar with it. It's hosted by 5 or 6 women who are all liberals, Democrats. And at some point on the show there was a discussion about Christianity and how it's crazy, and the host started discussing Vice President Mike Pence and how he's more crazy than Donald Trump, that he thinks that Jesus speaks to him. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never seen that or read that about Mike Pence, but maybe it is. I don't know. But as they went down this road, they just started criticizing Pence and then started criticizing Christians in general as being crazy. And for whatever reason, over the course of a little bit of time, Joy Behar, who's one of the hosts, called Mike Pence to apologize, which I thought was pretty incredible. I know who Joy Behar is. I've heard plenty of her comments over the years, and that's not like her. Joy is definitely somebody who is unapologetic. And I think there's a time and a place for being unapologetic, but I think we have too much of that right now. And I think it was, frankly, quite a big step for her to call the president to make that, or vice president rather, to make that apology. And then the vice president did the right thing and graciously accepted her apology and thanked her for it and encouraged her to make that apology publicly. And she did, to her credit. She went on the show and she said, quote, "I think Vice President Pence is right. I was raised to respect everyone's religious faith and I fell short of that. I sincerely apologize for what I said." That's great. We should encourage kindness and forgiveness and grace whenever we see it, from wherever we see it. And if you see it from the opposition, whatever your opposition is, you shouldn't jump on that as an opportunity, as a weakness to slam them into the dirt and criticize them more. You should thank them for it. We need more civility. I just got done reading an article the other day in Psychology Today that basically just talked about how important civility is and how rudeness spreads like the flu virus. And I think we're all kind of aware of how bad that is on social media and Twitter and Facebook, and certainly I am, how vicious people can be, especially when they're behind a keyboard. But it really has a toxic effect on us. And so I think when we see any kind of forgiveness or grace or civility demonstrated from anybody, but especially from people you disagree with, you should thank them for it and you should encourage it. And on that note, I got a letter in the mail today, And I knew what the letter was because I wrote it to myself 6 months ago. So when I finished that meditation course up at the university, the instructor had us write a letter to ourselves, and I just wanted to share it with you really quickly. I said to myself, at 8 weeks, it's clear that you've achieved your initial goal. Your level of stress has decreased significantly. You're much calmer and happier than you've been in years, and you've begun to rediscover your passion for speaking to people. Thoughts are flowing more clearly, both questions and answers. Your family and coworkers have even noticed. Hopefully you're getting close to your vacation, which I am. In about 30 days, I'm going on a tropical vacation I'm very excited about. Also, I hope you're coming closer to forgiveness. Forgiveness for a lot of people, for people you feel have done wrong. Forgiveness for your mother and for your brother and probably yourself. Most of all, I hope you've maintained your mindfulness practice. You got here in 8 weeks. 6 months should only build on your growth. Don't eat life by the handful or you're going to make yourself sick. And so this was something I've been thinking about recording for a couple of weeks on forgiveness and grace and kindness. And when I got the letter today, I thought, oh man, on top of all these other stories, it reminded me of a story that I experienced when I was meditating, and I'll kind of wrap up with that. So towards the end of the course on meditation, we did a meditation where it was on like loving kindness. So the way it basically worked is you would start meditating and you would think of somebody that is easy for you to care about. So like your pet or something. And so you think about your dog and you just wish your dog kindness and happiness and peace and joy and, you know, freedom from suffering, and understand that your dog just wants to be loved and cared for just like you do. And then you basically repeat that increasingly with more difficult people. So you go with somebody that's easy to care about. Then you think about somebody that you're ambivalent towards, maybe somebody that you see on a weekly basis, a clerk at the grocery store or something, but you don't know them, so you don't have strong feelings for or against them. Then you pick somebody that maybe you're kind of upset with, and you do the same. And all of this is supposed to help you not hold grudges and feel kindness towards people. And so that was all fine until the end of the meditation. You have to do the same for everyone everywhere. You have to wish everyone everywhere kindness and joy and happiness and peace, and understand that they just want the same things that you want. And boy, did that piss me off. I was not expecting that. I guess suppressed the people and the thoughts of the people that I'm angry at. And it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. It's groups of people. And damn it, if that wasn't hard. At that point in the meditation, I just became very bitter, very, very pissed off and angry. And that's how I finished the meditation. And so in class afterwards, we all had to discuss what our experiences were with it. And I didn't really want to say this because then I sounded like some kind of a jerk. But I did open up and explain to the group that whole thing made me really mad. And what I realized from that experience is that I've got some room to grow when it comes to forgiveness and open-mindedness and tolerance and all those kinds of good things, that I'm not immune to that. So I'm telling you the story just to explain that we're all going to struggle with that. But it's really critical and important that we try. And so as I reflect back 6 months, I'm not closer to fixing that problem as I thought I might be, because I haven't been working on it. For 6 months, I've continued to work on just relieving my own stress and focusing on the moment and dealing with my own day-to-day problems. I have not worked on that meditation of forgiveness and loving kindness. I've done it maybe once in 6 months. And so as I sit here today, I haven't improved. There's still a lot of people that I get those people in the town hall that are angry at Marco Rubio and Dana Lash. And I just know that I've felt that angry. And if I really thought about it right now, and I'd probably get angry again. So I got to work on that. But I think it's worthwhile. I think as I continue to do these videos and we talk about self-improvement and how to fix policy. There's definitely going to be times where I'm going to talk about public policy and how I think we need to fix it. We're not going to fix any of it if we keep fighting the way we are. So let's try to encourage each other when we show each other grace. Let's try to show each other grace ourselves, and maybe we can make the world just a little bit better. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to hear more commentary like this. You can also find me on Facebook at Travis Talks and on my website at travistalks.net. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again soon.